out to water, and it appears that unless there's some kind of divine intervention, a huge amount of rainfall in the next few days, around 500,000 people, 500,000 people who live in Nelson Mandela Bay will not have easy access to water as their taps will run dry. It'll see around half the city of Gqeberha having to go around to other parts of the city to get water, or having to rely on water tankers. Already one major dam has started to only give mud. Authorities are moving a barge on the dam to try and find the last pockets of water within it. Dr. Andre Hefer is a sustainability engineer at Nelson Mandela University. Dr. Hefer, good afternoon to you. We have people looking desperately for water in these dams, officials doing that. We still have a very high number of leaks in that city. It seems to me now that day zero is inevitable. I mean, from what you see, is it definitely going to happen?
Hi, Stephen. Yes. I don't think there's any thoughts around that anymore. It probably will run dry, possibly within the next 2 weeks or so. And I think a lot of people, panic has set into the city. We're seeing people running to all sorts of plumbing shops and tank installers. Even the projects we're trying to start and initiate here at the varsity, you know, we're struggling to find suppliers and installers to do some of the work. So I think it's definitely a reality soon.
The city is still wasting a huge amount of water. So many leaks are being reported all the time. Why is the municipality unable to get on top of that?
I think my understanding is for the past year or so they've been struggling with around their procurement process of getting guys online. But I read an article this morning that they actually want to squash and try and get that out of the way within a week or two. So I'm not sure if they've been able to change their procurement or try and get other means of operating in that space. But it seems like they're trying to solve that issue. I think currently outstanding is about 3,500 leaks across the city. So it's an obvious win, you know, if you're able to get that right and get that resolved as soon as possible. And I think some of the business owners and common people on the street are almost blaming that as part of the issue. You know, if a third or 30% or 25% of your water is lost or unaccounted for, you know, it could save us almost if we are able to resolve that leak issue.
You made the point that a sense of panic had set in. I mean, it seems to me when you say that it would have helped if a sense of panic had set in, you know, 5 years ago or even a year ago.
No, I agree, Stephen. I think we're probably 2-3 years too late with regards to a lot of the actions taking place at the moment. And I don't know if it was through the inability of council and approvals politically, you know, in the last 2 years to actually get a lot of these projects on the roll. And even the Nooit Gedag scheme, that was a massive answer for the city. You know, I think the phase 3 was only completed recently, you know, which would secure probably 60 to 70% of our water. So that project is finished now. But that 30 or 40% coming from the Churchill and Mpofu Dam is the element that's failing very soon. So, like you said, 300, 400, 500,000 people on the southern side of the city being left without water.
You make the point that it's difficult even for the university that you work at to actually get the contractors, to get the supplies, the spares that it needs. I see that the city of Cape Town has today made an offer of help. They've been through all of this before, of course, to send engineers. Would that help? I mean, I don't know if that offer would come with material. It's unlikely. But it seems that Nelson Mandela Bay does need outside help at this stage.
Stephen, I think there has been help coming through. I know there's people that's been seconded through departmental interventions and those type of things. There's also been a handover of, I think, our entire water supply and possibly even in the interdepartmental workings through the Amatola water that will be taking over our water in the interim, or the water provision. So it's definitely a point of interest to, you know, where that will end and how external parties can come in at such a late stage to try and actually assist with a lot of knowledge, a lot of internal discussions happening. And yeah, I think there's probably enough people within the system to try and assist to resolve this issue. But we need the budgets approved, the council and the political will to actually drive this to a point of you know, trying to save the city or trying to keep us possibly in a limp mode in areas, to keep business continuity and people going in the domestic space.
I mean, you make the point about the council. The council currently, as I understand it, has 2 city managers, or 2 people who claim to have been appointed city manager. There's evidence of division there. Is that a big part of this problem? We're all aware of the political dysfunction in Nelson Mandela Bay for the last few years. Now we see a real crisis like this that probably required real management 10 years ago.
Yeah, Stephen, we don't dwell too much in the political space. We're very connected to the disaster management and the water component of it. But it seems to be that there is some disparity there, and I think it does filter down into the absolute administrative and day-to-day management of what's happening, and also the long-term strategic vision. The metro like this, a growing metro, one that's got a massive automotive, food and beverage. We've got the Gqeberha harbors here. We're growing in a sense, and we need water and your basic utilities to operate as a venue for businesses to come to and attract.
So, I mean, we're going to have this crisis. We don't know how long it'll last. It'll probably depend until that final part of the Gqeberha scheme is completed and connects this section of the city to the Gqeberha River system. There's probably no quick way to speed all of that up. In the meantime, the city is trying to get water, make preparations, make it easier for people to get water. How do you assess that? It's very, very expensive to try and get water to people through means other than pipes. I mean, the expense of it is unbelievable.
Stephen, we've made calculations and trying to value engineer our way out of this to rather get alternative water sources on our campuses. So I can just think if the municipality is trying to run massive areas of the city on water tankers and provision, it is going to be extremely, extremely expensive. I think our calcs were showing probably about a 3 million rand a month type of expenditure to run tankers and to get potable water on our various campuses. But the other thing is also, if 400 or 500,000 people is looking for potable water, where are you going to find it? Which supplier is going to be able to assist you with the provision of that water? And the absolute logistics around it is, it's an absolute nightmare to run around with 10 or 15,000 litre tankers across the city. It's not ideal at all.
Dr. Andre Hefer, thank you. Sustainability engineer at Nelson Mandela University. I do appreciate the time. It's a growing crisis in that city. More coverage, of course, as developments there unfold.